there, and welcome back to the NeuroBytes video experiment series. In a previous video, you learned how interneurons work, and you experimented with inputs coming in on long and short dendrites. If you remember, compared to the short dendrites, the long dendrites required more inputs for energy for the postsynaptic neurons to fire an action potential. However, this can change as your brain learns a task. Real neurons are not like dumb wires that just pass a signal on. As you use them, they're constantly changing how they look and how they work. Scientists call this brain plasticity, and let's experiment with how that works. Flip over one of your interneurons and power it up with a battery pack and black power cable. Remember, when you see the power button on your screen, your simulator should be powered up. Hold down the ID button for at least 1 second, and the LED on the top will turn a magenta color. This indicates that your interneuron is in memory mode. Connect a touch sensory neuron using an excitatory neurotransmitter cable to one of the long dendrites on an interneuron, either number 1 or 2. If you don't have a touch sensory neuron, a photoreceptor or pressure sensory neuron can also be used to provide sensory input. If you click the switch or provide light or pressure input once per second for 10 seconds, you'll notice that the interneuron depolarizes, indicated by the LED turning red, but does not fire an action potential. After those clicks, the interneuron LED should be the same light magenta color. If you click the switch faster, at 2 or 3 clicks per second for 10 seconds, you should notice that the interneuron starts to fire action potentials. After this set of clicks are done, you should also notice that the LED is now a brighter magenta color. This indicates that the synapse has been potentiated or strengthened. When synapses between real neurons are potentiated, it means that a signal from a presynaptic cell, like your touch sensory neuron, is more likely to make it through to the postsynaptic cell, like your interneuron. Synapses between neurons can also depress or become weaker. You might have noticed that while I was talking, the bright magenta interneuron LED started to become dimmer. In memory mode, if a potentiated interneuron does not receive any input for about 10 seconds, the synapse starts to depress back to its initial state. Potentiation can also be polysynaptic, meaning that it takes more than one synapse to strengthen a connection. Let's experiment with that now. Connect 2 touch sensory neurons to the 2 long dendrites of an interneuron, like this. Make sure the interneuron is in memory mode, indicated by the magenta LED. Just like before, if you click just one of the switches once per second for 10 seconds, the interneuron is not potentiated. However, if you click both of the touch sensory neurons at the same time for that period, those synapses do both increase in strength. This is called cooperativity. You can prove this yourself by putting the interneuron back into normal mode before the synapses start to depress, while the LED is still bright magenta. This saves the memory and the interneuron is formed. Now, if you click either of the touch sensory neurons just once, the interneuron should fire an action potential because of the way the 2 touch sensory neurons cooperated during training to potentiate both of the synapses. Scientists think that synapse plasticity is one of the main ways that we can form memories in our brains that last for hours, days, or even a lifetime. If you practice enough and in the right way, no new skill is impossible to learn. Visit us at www.neurotinker.com and show us your brain on NeuroBytes.